And now time to prove I'm a man of the people. Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of The Guido Goes Off. As always, I thank you for watching. In fact, actually, I thank you even more because this episode and the one that's going to follow it are actually the result of a poll I put up on my Twitter. And, I thank everybody for voting, and I thank everybody for lobbying for other people to vote for what they voted for. And to be honest, I can't be more appreciative for those of you that voted. And well, this is the results. The winning vote was like/hate wrestlers. Now, I honestly kind of fought with myself on what to do as far as these are concerned. But I decided that I figured what you wanted was my opinion, which is basically what the show is. And so, with that in mind, I decided to go this route, and actually I'm going to put out two shows. This first show will be a list in no particular order. I picked 5 gimmicks that personally I liked, but aren't exactly the most popular with most wrestling fans. If you happen to like these as well, that's great. But I know that most people aren't going to like these. So, without further ado, let's get started. Well, for this, I'm going to start with the most recent on the list, and that happens to be the Chinless Wonder, James Ellsworth. It's kind of odd how he's gotten popularity with some fans. I'm not saying everybody. There's a lot of people that are just sick and tired of his stuff, and I'll get to that in a minute. As he was the Raw after the draft. His debut was the Raw after the draft, being the first poor, unfortunate soul to be squashed by Braun Strowman. But his personal message of any man with two fists has a fighting chance did seem to resonate with some fans at first. And, it actually got him a lot of Twitter followers, a lot of buzz, and they just decided, hey, you know what? Let's just keep him. And so that's when they brought him to SmackDown and had him jobbing against, just put him in various places. But then his popularity really started waning when he beat AJ Styles 3 times. I mean, let's face facts. This is a guy who a lot of people think has no business being in the WWE because of his look, because of his size, because of literally everything about him. He has no business being in WWE, let alone the fact that he has 3 non-title wins over the reigning World Heavyweight Champion. Now, I can see that, and I can understand that, because it's it's honestly, how dare he? This is AJ Styles we're talking about, one of the greatest wrestlers alive, arguably of all time. But I know Vince loves his freaks. I mean, let's face facts. If it wasn't, if people like Zach Gowen hadn't gotten over, as bad as Eugene was, believe it or not, it was kind of a popular gimmick. If gimmicks of that nature hadn't gotten over, there's no way James Ellsworth would have been even close to WWE, let alone now being contracted and kind of being in the middle of this huge feud, which, as we know, is going to get even deeper because of the events of TLC. Now, the thing is, I personally like him because of that message of positivity. I mean, yes, he doesn't have the greatest look. He doesn't have all of that. But there's a lot, but he's got a positive message and something that people get behind. I'm all for that any day of the week. I mean, and yes, I'll blatantly tell you whether or not I like somebody. But like I said, Ellsworth's message is a good one that I think is one of those, as that common man gimmick. Not Dusty Rhodes common man. I'm talking, actual common man. And it resonates, and for me, it just kind of works. But like I said, a lot of people don't like him mostly simply because he's 3-0 against the world champion. And a guy like that shouldn't be. Up next, another gimmick that's been around for a while, and that is the Big Show. Let's face facts. He has been. I mean, he's been around in WWE alone for the better part of almost 20 years. He debuted in '97, if I'm not mistaken. A lot of fans have just gotten tired. This wasn't so much of a people don't like the guy. It's just they've at least gotten stale, and I can understand that. It is hard to keep a gimmick fresh. I mean, and not everyone can do it. But the reason why I like the Big Show, he's entertaining. The fact is, he's done just about every goofy, stupid thing that Vince has ever asked him to do. And he's done it in a way that's been entertaining. I mean, the man's done, he's been the big unstoppable giant, to the lovable goof, to what everybody hated him for, but yet everyone loved Damien Sandow for it, to being big douchebag with Jericho and then The Miz. Not to mention the whole crying at the drop of a hat. I mean, recently y'all saw you saw the WWE Supercard commercial where he's crying because he lost a Supercard match or fight. I don't play the game, so I don't know. But that's the reason why I like the Big Show. We all have to make a living in this world. And believe me, I know. And sometimes you do things you don't want to do, necessarily. But you do them. The thing is, the reason he does it is because he gets to entertain people. And that's an admirable trait, It not only helps you keep your job, but you get to have fun and make money at the same time. I believe all of us would love to do that. And so that's why I like the Big Show, but everybody's kind of tired of him. And from what I understand, he is coming to the close of his career because, from what I understand, his the rumored WrestleMania 33 match with Shaq, that's supposed to be his final match. But still, it's like you keep hearing that the wrestling that WWE is about moments, and he's given us a heck of a lot of moments, and that's why I like the Big Show. But I know a lot of people hate him because he's been around for a while, and they're just tired of him. Now, time for one that a lot of people want to forget, but I love it because it's something different. I know, we in WWE over the course of its 60, 70 year span has had some goofy ass gimmicks. They had a battle royal full of them. But one that sticks out to me and one that I keep looking for it on the network and watching his matches is Mantar. The gimmick is kind of like the Minotaur. If you know your Greek mythology, the Minotaur was this monstrous, deformed being that hung out in the maze of King Minos on the Isle of Crete. Of course, Mantar was billed from the Isle of Crete, but he was more human. But of course, he had that giant buffalo, um, buffalo. It was a buffalo mask thing. Um, and yes, it looked ridiculous. It was ridiculous. But sometimes you gotta laugh. You know, I think we who watch wrestling sometimes we take it a lot more seriously than it should be taken, and sometimes you just need to laugh. And for me, Mantar does that, and that's why I like it. That's why I like Mantar, because he's a laugh, and sometimes you just need one. I know what you're thinking. You've read the intro, the bump. You're thinking to yourself, how? How can I like Glacier? I mean, everybody. I'd like to think everybody knows the story. It's basically what happened was um, Turner, through New Line Cinema, had produced the live action movie of Mortal Kombat. It was okay. Wasn't the greatest movie in the world. Probably could have been done a lot better. Um, a lot of people. Now it's made a lot of lists of PG-13 movies that should have been R, so they could have showed more fatalities, and got more into the game. But now I'm just talking about the movie. But okay, so they had the rights to Mortal Kombat, so of course, kind of they thought, hey, let's take a little bit of liberty and try to incorporate a wrestling character into this, and that's where Glacier comes from. Um, yes, everybody knows his Glacier's original costume. Yes, it was a blatant ripoff of, if I'm not mistaken, unmasked Sub-Zero from Mortal Kombat 3. Pretty much his gear was a complete ripoff of that. And someone got paid a lot of money to rip off a gear. I mean, what was it? His gear cost $100. They spent $100,000 custom making gear for Ray Hood. No, not Ray Hood. Ray Horn. I keep forgetting the guy's actual name. But basically, they created this character. They got a guy that's well versed in martial arts to make it believable, and then you make this Glacier gimmick. I mean, and it was supposed to spawn a whole list of characters, and it did in the forms of Mortis and Wrath. They basically were going to basically design characters around the ninjas in the Mortal Kombat franchise. Because as you saw that Glacier was a ripoff of Sub-Zero, Mortis was kind of a ripoff of Reptile, and you had Wrath, I guess, was kind of a Noob Saibot ripoff. But yeah, and then they had this, video package for like 3 months. The blood runs cold and all that. And then it came out to this laser show, and then they had the little soap flakes that they had to send, kind of look like snow, and the laser show, and then him doing a little katas before the match would start. And yes, I know it was hokey. It was hokey as all get out, and of course a blatant ripoff, which is why Midway actually sent a cease and desist letter to Turner saying, "Hey, you're ripping us off. Quit it." And so that's why there was a costume change, and it, But like I said, okay, so this is why everybody hates it. It was a ripoff. It was hokey. It was using laser shows when laser shows were on the way out of popularity. because I'm telling you, smoke machines are what the people really want, and all that. I liked it. The reason why I liked it, it's simple. I thought it was cool. I know. In retrospect, it's hokey as all get out, but it, I mean, it's this guy was hired basically to, it's kind of like everybody. A lot of people know that how WWE does it. They create these gimmicks, and then they'll find the wrestler to fit this gimmick. You know, Mankind was thought of long before Mick Foley was hired by WWE. Undertaker was thought of before Mark Calloway was hired. Kane also hired. Kane was created before Glenn Jacobs was hired. In a lot of these cases, these gimmicks are created, and then they find the person to do it. And bless his heart, I think it's Roy Horn. If you guys know his actual name, comment section, please, or my Twitter, which I'll post later. And, that's the thing. He tried his, he spent a year doing his damnedest to make this work, to try to, make it marketable, make it wonderful. And then a year afterwards, he's Cody Rhodes' gym teacher. I'm not kidding. I think Cody talked about it. That, Glacier was, in WCW 1 minute, and then the next minute, Cody Rhodes is seeing his new gym teacher, and it's like, why is Glacier my gym teacher? And now, from what I understand, the guy that portrayed Glacier is doing pretty well for himself. I believe he's producing commercials, training videos. He's doing very well for himself. But again, he does kind of look fondly back on it. And again, going back to my point with Mantar, we're trying to have fun. And, taste is always subjective. And like I said, I thought Glacier was cool. I'm not going to lie. And I was, and when he debuted, I'm well past, I'm not going to lie, I was in my late teens and well past the time where I shouldn't be liking hokey gimmicks, but I liked the hokey gimmick. And that's why I liked Glacier. And that's why I still continue to like Glacier. I'll plug it into the network and watch his matches every so often. I just like it. Last, but certainly not least, the gimmick I liked that everyone else hated, American Badass Undertaker, or Biker Taker, or ABA Taker, however you want to remember it. Basically, how Taker was from 2000 to about 2004, I want to think. Went back. He was. He came back. They were taunting him. I believe it was WrestleMania 2000. They were taunting his return with Judgment Day is here, Judgment Day is now. And, came out to Kid Rock's American Badass, hence the term American Badass Taker, before he came out to Limp Bizkit's Rollin'. The reason a lot of people hate the gimmick, in the process of becoming more Mark Calloway, the person, and coming away from the and leaving the Undertaker behind is what got a lot of people. Mostly because of the simple fact this Undertaker was nothing that Undertaker used to be. Let's face facts. Taker started off, gloom and doom and walking death. And then he starts showing powers and that. And And of course, that all-fabled aura of invulnerability. I mean, it's what kept his gimmick going, was how do you stop him? How do you kill what's already dead? As you know, he went from undead wizard who can conjure lightning and fire and all that fun stuff to a Hell's Angel. Next are off Sons of Anarchy. Again, yes, he lost. In the process, he lost everything that made Taker Taker, but it was something different. It kept the gimmick fresh. I personally like that. I personally liked ABA Taker because it was different. Yes, it humanized him, but it was different. It was fun. It was cool. And yes, you know, soon after that, I think that's when we had. This was after Amish Taker. Minister of Darkness Taker. I mean, you know, you have your various versions of Undertaker, and yes, this is the one people do not look on fondly, like I said, because it wasn't the Undertaker. Undertaker was what got me watching professional. It was who got me watching professional wrestling. You know, yes, you know, there's kids crying and scared, and you have to understand, when he debuted, I was 11 years old, and I thought this was the coolest shit I'd ever seen. And as you know, and as I grew up, he evolved, and it just continue to hang on to what you liked about wrestling, which is what we all do. Is what keeps us all going. We like what we like. We don't like what we don't like. But we find what we like, and that's what keeps us watching. That's what keeps us tuning into Raw, tuning into SmackDown, you know, buying the network, buying the T-shirts, buying all the merchandise. And that's why I look fondly back at that time. Plus, when they did the intro to Rolling with the footsteps and Dead Man walking, you gotta admit that was cool. You have to admit that was cool. And like I said, I know it's not everybody's favorite version of Taker, but I liked it because it was Taker. It was something different. I'm always a big fan of something different. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of The Guido Goes Off. As I said, this is part one of a two-part series of episodes. So hopefully, if you like this one, you're going to watch the other one. Because, hey, you voted for it. So what are gimmicks or wrestlers or people you like that all your friends are like, why do you like this guy? Let me know in the comment section below. Of course, you can always talk to me via my social media, and that's down there as well. And as always, please like this video, share it with your friends, and if you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel. I noticed I have at least a few more subscribers. Thank you very much for subscribing. I will try to keep putting out shows that you enjoy. Well, till next time, I am the Guido, and I think we're done here.